Hello, welcome to another PCSAchieve vlog. You're joined today with myself, Richard Effenor, Vice Principal, and I'm here with Jason Edwards, Assistant Principal for Learning and Teaching. This year we're going to do a series of vlogs all about learning and teaching here at Priory and our philosophy on what learning is here and why it is so important. We're always going to produce in these videos some ideas and techniques that are going to support learning outside of the classroom. And today's vlog is about retrieval practice. Mr. Edwards, can you explain what retrieval practice is?
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Uffendale. So retrieval practice is really important. Students are learning lots and lots of things every single day at school. 5 hours of lessons, loads of new learning. And what the research shows us actually is that the majority of that new learning can be forgotten even within just a few hours. So retrieval practice is looking for ways to revisit learning to help it to stick in the long-term memory. So if you go back to a topic that you've learned a day later, a week later, a month later, for example, by revisiting it on those occasions, that can really stick it in the long-term memory. This can be really helpful to students because it means they've got it in future then to draw on that knowledge from their long-term memory. And also by finding ways to stick the information in your long-term memory, that frees up your short-term memory, reduces your cognitive load, and allows you to function far better in lessons because you're not trying to kind of hold all this new learning in your short-term memory all at once.
Excellent.
In terms of retrieval practice, Mr. Uffendale, what might that look like in a lesson at Priory?
Yeah, great question. As you've already touched upon, Mr. Edwards, we really firmly believe in the science behind retrieval practice and the recall of knowledge. So every single one of our every single one of our lessons starts with a silent starter, and that silent starter is a retrieval practice based activity or task. The students will come into the lesson and they will start a task or an activity that is based on retrieval of knowledge. And that knowledge could be from the previous lesson or the previous cycle or from cycles from a little while ago, because as you've already touched upon, it's been able to revisit knowledge and learning from previous times, which allows to really solidify the knowledge in the student's mind so they will recall it later on. It's also one of the key reasons about our homework and why our homework is so important. And there's lots of research about homework and how it adds benefit to students. But our homework system here is based on previous learning. There are some bits of homework that we ask students to research and investigate, but that is always hooked upon previous learning. But most of our homework in our homework booklets, or set by faculties if they're using online systems, is to retrieve or recall information that they've already covered in lessons. And that's really key, as Mr. Edwards has already said. Being able to recall information from either previous learning, previous weeks and so forth, allows the students to move that information into long-term memory, allowing space for more learning to continue and happen. So that's what retrieval practice would look like in our school, and how we really believe in it and put great emphasis on that learning. Recently, we've also been using whiteboards at the beginning of lessons as well, so students will be able to put their knowledge onto whiteboards to share their thoughts. But the key process of this video is to talk about how we can support learning outside the classroom as well. So do you have any techniques or ideas on how the people at home can support their children with retrieval practice, sir?
Yes, absolutely. So there's something really simple and straightforward that can be very effective that parents and carers can do in terms of retrieval practice, and that's simply to regularly show interest in what your child's been doing during their day at school. So just asking them to think back over their day and tell you what they've been doing, and ask them the topics they've been learning. Just getting them to think back through their school day will really help with that retrieval practice and to stick their learning into their long-term memory. Some really good online tools as well. So if parents and carers encourage their child to be accessing things like, for example, BBC Bite Size and Seneca Learning, some fantastic tools there where students can find the topics they've been doing in school and they can revisit them and they can test and quiz themselves on them, and these kind of activities will really help.
Excellent. I will certainly use some of those techniques with my own children, I think. Well, hopefully you found today's video useful, and please keep an eye out for further videos in this series. Thank you for joining us.